question that had come up about whether or not, or who has access to this project as far as retailers and as far as restaurants. And I apologize if there was any confusion about this going into it, but it's always been my understanding, and I believe it's always been the task force understanding, that this is a Portsmouth-based project that's being invested in by the city to support Portsmouth-based businesses that are in our community to help them through the economic challenges of the pandemic. So the idea has always been from the beginning, and I apologize if this wasn't made clear, that the retail, restaurant, and pretty much performance space, although we can talk a little more detail about that, is reserved for Portsmouth-based businesses. From a performance perspective, if there's a venue like 3S Art Space or the music hall or Book and Bar or the press room who are booking acts for certain nights there, that's viewed as a Portsmouth-based business, even if the artist who's playing there lives in another part of the Seacoast, in my view. So I don't worry about that so much. What I worry more about is what happens when a business that's not a Portsmouth tax-paying business comes in and participates in the retail aspect of it and the restaurant aspect of it. And frankly, the performance space should be managed by Portsmouth-based nonprofits and for-profits that deal with performance. And I think we have plenty of those to go around. And I do honestly think that there are plenty of Portsmouth-based businesses. One of the things that we've talked about is there are a lot of businesses in Portsmouth, and it's hard for us to make sure that we're actively or correctly communicating with all of them and reaching all of them. So Valerie had mentioned to me the other day that she would be willing, I'm going to put her on the spot here, she would be willing to help out as far as recruiting Portsmouth-based businesses. I know that she has access to lists with every business in Portsmouth, not just chamber members, but everyone who is doing business in Portsmouth. And I think she can help us fill those retail spots and if needed, help us with restaurants. I don't know that that's as big a need. So I don't know that there's any other outcome that's going to come from this. I think it's just going to be Portsmouth-based.
I want to push back on that, Russ, if I can.
Yeah, go ahead, Josh.
The volunteers, they've already started assembling a list, and some of those businesses are not based in Portsmouth, but not only do Portsmouth residents shop there, they employ Portsmouth residents, and some are even owned by Portsmouth residents. So I know some expenses have already been made by businesses that are not in Portsmouth to participate. And a big fear would be if we have, if not everything's full, people might look down like, oh, there's one business, but if there's three businesses already there ready to go, they're more likely to head down. So I would like to at least include the businesses that have already signed up to allow them to participate, and then maybe fill the rest of it with all Portsmouth.
If I may.
Go ahead, Valerie.
So I see 15 businesses on that list, 3 of which actually have brick and mortar in Portsmouth. And some of them, most of the others are online. Some of them are out of their homes. One's based in Florida, one's based in San Francisco, Kittery, York. So my concern is that we are trying desperately to keep our businesses from closing. And we don't need another dark or empty shop, particularly in downtown. And by bringing in those that are primarily online, which clearly is a huge competition for our bricks and mortar shops, they're trying really hard to stay open. And by bringing in 12 businesses that are not based in Portsmouth is a real concern. You know, the other thing is that some of our retailers, our bricks and mortar that are downtown, have been pretty excited about the Bridge Street lot because of the foot traffic that might generate. Well, it's not going to generate foot traffic for these shops if they're shopping online for these other businesses. So
I'm not going to disagree with what you said, but the actual brick and mortar businesses that have signed up from elsewhere, I'm thinking one in Kittery that's owned by Portsmouth residents, like I would still like to see them participate. If they're solely online, I could see that point, but those that are brick and mortar that employ Portsmouth workers, owned by Portsmouth employees, I would like to still see participate. But again, if it's the majority is Portsmouth businesses, all the better.
Yeah, I think
Also,
the challenge. Oh, go ahead, Kathleen.
So if you have one Portsmouth business there and we're leaving empty kiosk spaces because we're only putting Portsmouth businesses in there, that lone Portsmouth business is going to struggle because there's no other businesses to draw people there. So having, for me, like priority should be given to Portsmouth businesses. And then if we can't fill it, we fill the kiosk.